Hi guys, this is my Outlander book review on Melissa Elise TV, so stay tuned. What's up everyone, I'm Melissa Elise and you're watching Melissa Elise TV. Welcome to my brand new series of videos called Book Club. The first book we'll be reading through is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. If you don't know anything about Outlander, this is book 1 in the currently 8-book series that tells the story of a former combat nurse, Randall, who, while on her second honeymoon with her husband Frank in 1945 Scotland, is mysteriously transported through a standing stone in the ancient stone circle of Craigh to 1743. Claire is dropped in the middle of rising tensions between the Scots and the English leading up to the Battle of Culloden. On her journey, she meets the gallant young Scots warrior James Fraser, and the epic love story unfolds. This book is so much more than just a passionate love story, though. It's got a little something for everyone. If you love history, action, adventure, you should definitely read this book, and I would love to read it along with you. You can find Outlander at pretty much any bookstore, but if you're like me and you just want it to arrive at your door, I'm going to link up in the description where I got my book set from, and you can follow along with my reading schedule also in the description. But of course, read at your own pace. This week we read chapters 1 through 11, so let's jump in, starting with the plot. The story is definitely character-driven, moving more slowly as we dive into the inner lives of each character. As far as pacing, the first 2 chapters are a bit slow going, but by the end of chapter 2, Claire is already through the stone and back in time. So once you get past that point, this plot picks up more steadily from there. And the thing is, you need the first 2 chapters to get to know Claire and the life that she's trying to return to. This brings us to the central conflict, which is Claire's mysterious departure from one time period into another, and her quest to get back to the stones. At this point, she has no real way of knowing whether or not she can go back into her own time period, but her main concern is getting to their location first, since she's been taken deep into the Highlands. Some sub-conflicts arise, obviously, between Claire and her captors, first with Blackjack Randall, Frank's ancestor, then with Morta and Dougal, and finally Culloden, and nobody but Jamie and Mrs. Fitz seem to trust Claire. The plot itself is in part chronological because we follow the story as Claire lives it, but she does a lot of remembering and storytelling from her past experiences during the war and from when she was a little girl. Overall, the story is told through Claire's perspective, so we as the reader only know as much as she does. I don't have a favorite passage yet, but pretty much any section with Jamie and Claire is great. She learns so much about Jamie really quickly, and they develop this deep intimacy that she attributes to the circumstances of their meeting and riding through the night together. She talks about how sleeping in someone's presence is a sign of trust, and they're pretty much forced into this trust right away. One passage I really did like was when Claire finally breaks down the first night in Castle Liot, and Jamie just holds her and soothes her. From then on, they're like awkward little teenagers together, and it's so cute. We have to talk about them as characters too. In general, I can't really relate or identify with any of the characters, but I think it's mainly because of the story's setting. I can't identify with the time period or the situation that the characters are in, but I'm still very sympathetic to them and care about them, in part because I'm already coming into the books as a fan of the show, but I'm even more interested in them and care more for them as I read them the way that Diana has written them. In general, they're very believable characters and you feel like you know them. Claire is definitely a great character. She's so strong. She holds her own with those Highlanders, and she's keeping it together pretty well despite everything. She still hasn't told anyone her situation, and I love the insight into her in the book because you get to see like the inner workings of her mind as she thinks about what would have happened if I told people that I'm from a different time, and she considers how often this might have happened over the years. And there's so many things you can say about Claire. She's definitely a likable character, very intelligent. She's naive to her surroundings, her new surroundings in Scotland in 1743, as she would be, but she's so smart, drawing back to all the things that Frank told her and trying to convince Colum where she's from by only telling him the things that are in part true. She's very cool, and I like her in the book almost a bit more than the show. No disrespect to Kat, because she does a wonderful job portraying Claire, but the way that Diana has written her, and like I said, the insight into her just opens up the character so much. However, Jamie is my absolute favorite character, hands down. There's just something about him. I mean, obviously, as he's described in the book, even the other characters are drawn to him by his physical appearance. He's very tall, handsome, but even despite like his situation, not having any money, can't claim his own name, can't go home, has a price on his head, despite all of those things, he's always in such good humor. He has a great attitude. Like, even with the stuff that Dougal puts him through, he's still honorable, he's gallant, you know, he's everything you want this character to be and more. And he just kind of reminds me of like some of the great literary male characters like Darcy or Heathcliff or Angel Clare. I haven't quite caught any major themes or overt symbols or irony yet, but I'm sure by the end of this book there'll be so many to choose from. Well, that's it for this week's book club. Of course, I'd love to hear from you guys. Who is your favorite character thus far and why? Leave me a comment and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more.